welcome to my third video called The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius. And what better moment to shoot this third video than on the actual full moon, full Aquarius moon in August. Look how beautifully it's showing itself. Oh wait, I need to get this better. Let's really get it there. Beautifully seeing how it's rising up. This beautiful orange moon showing itself to us. Wow. This is fucking amazing. So, a little bit of explanation. I actually felt guided during my meditation in preparing for this video on how to do this, how to shoot this. And I thought, hey, it's around the full moon. And in my meditation I got like these lights, blinking lights, and my eyes flustering and registering, and so I felt really like I had all these energies raging through my body telling me that yes, this is a good idea, you need to do this, you need to shoot it while you're watching the full moon. And look how beautifully it's, because I was pretty afraid that it was not going to happen here in the Netherlands, because it's been very cloudy and rainy the last couple of days. Let's make sure we get it a little bit. Look at it. Wow. Can we get it a little bit further? That's it. That's the biggest. Let's hope it. Ho 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 ho. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely amazing. So, the topic that I want to discuss during this full moon with you is basically what a moon also represents. The end of a cycle. And there's the end of this cycle that is coming. I kind of also alluded to it in my second video that there was that things are going to change, which is going to require people to develop different kind of capabilities to make sense of everything that is going to change. And as I explained, the capabilities I developed after when my spirituality got awakened with this first psychedelic experience, that's exactly the capabilities that I think are going to be necessary for people to start dealing with everything that is coming, that's going to come in the quite near future, I guess. Because and the reason why I think this and why I know this requires a little bit of context, a little bit of background story, and that's basically because during my thesis, which is I finished about half a year ago, and I took like about a year for it, I basically spent an equal amount of time researching the Great Awakening as I spent time into actually working on my thesis. So I really had like the time to really get into it deeply, and it was so wildly fascinating to get into it, because, and I'm not going to get into detail on all of the dark stuff and conspiracy theories and touching any of those topics. Through Qanon and studying everything that is related to this, I got to find, like, I got really interested in what is it then that these secret societies, these elitists are trying to keep from us. What kind of knowledge can they possibly have that is so big and important that they only want to keep to themselves? So that's what I really got into this ancient knowledge. And with this and there's so many I learned there were so many wildly interesting topics about sacred geometry and astrology and extraterrestrials and all that kind of stuff, that I just I got super enthusiastic. I got sort of obsessed by it to really get into it and to learn everything. And basically what I learned, why it is so important and why I want to link it to this this full moon event, is that right now we are going through a mass global conscious shift of humanity. We are evolving into a higher level of consciousness, and this is because we are shifting from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. And in order to get this, you might need like a little bit more background information. And so let me quickly explain. You have the planet that is, of course, spinning, but it's not spinning like directly on a straight line, on a straight vertical line. The axis that it's spinning on is slightly tilted. You would have like two vortexes up and down moving. And one cycle of going through like a full circle in this precession of the equinox takes about 25,000 or 26,000 years. And that's basically like a planetary or platonic year. There are 12 astrological zodiac signs that are linked to the different phases that the Earth is positioned in for about 2,000 years each. And the general theme of the Age of Pisces is duality and deception. And right now we're shifting into the Age of Aquarius, and the Age of Aquarius is basically the Age of enlightenment, the Age of unity. This transition is going to happen gradually, and right now we are like in this phase of transitioning, which is really focused on unveiling all of this deception and manipulation that has taken place by these elitists and these people that have been running the show, running the world behind the scenes. And I believe that this Qanon operation is a way to give the masses the information that is needed to make sense of everything, because something big is coming, something huge that is going to completely crush our current beliefs, something that's going to create the momentum that is going to unite us as one species, the whole world that's going to work together through that. And that is how we're being kind of like kicked in to the Age of Aquarius. So the general theme that I want to kind of like stick to in this video is how spirituality is related to astrology. And I also want to get into and complement by explaining a personal experience that happened to me, which makes this current moment so extremely beautiful, because it happened exactly a year ago during the full moon of August. So let's get into what happened exactly a year ago. Around this time in the summer, together with a group of friends that I have from my student life, from my fraternity, we went to Kiev in the Ukraine, and spent like an amazing week over there around the time of the Independence Day, and that whole holiday was like amazing. The women are beautiful, the weather was gorgeous, the alcohol was cheap, and the parties were great, and it was just a perfect holiday to finish my student life with. And somewhere in the middle, we went to Chernobyl, and in the evening we had like an amazing night out. Like everything went well. Like the parties were great. We had really nice like interaction with local people, and the connections with women were going like everybody was having a blast. We were having great fun, and at a certain point, I was dancing, and I realized that I had experienced this all before. Like I remembered everything really clearly, like exactly as if I had dreamt this whole thing before. And I could just remember everything that happened that evening as it has happened in a dream. And the rest of that evening I just couldn't stop laughing. I had such a huge smile on my face with having this crazy, bizarre experience. And at that time I had no clue why that was happening. It was a really strange experience. So the day after that really amazing night, I felt like I remembered everything that is going to happen in the future like I had experienced it before. And there's a really good video that I found, which I will share with you in the description box, that is actually explaining this phenomenon, and she is also explaining her theory on how that works with shifting into higher timelines and the best possible timeline to be in. And I think that is actually really accurate with how I experienced it. So I also so I highly encourage you, if you want to really understand what I meant, what I'm meaning with this, to also check that video out. So I was not really able to make sense of it all, of everything that like this intense déjà vu that was happening to me. And I was just going with it, I was enjoying it, and so a couple of days later, when we were kind of nearing the last evenings of the holiday, we actually got into this situation where we were going to this huge music concert by one of the biggest and most famous Ukrainian bands that everybody was going to in Kiev. A really awesome thing happened to me, because the way I remember it is that I was standing there in the crowd, and earlier before I had realized that the stage where the band was playing was actually designed in the shape of an eye, and I actually made a picture of it. And I also saw on the internet like multiple other stages of really big famous concerts, like from Katy Perry and the Eurovision Song Festival of 2015, in where they also use an eye kind of design. And of course I was really already very much into all of this conspiracy shit, and first when I saw that eye, I was making kind of a joke out of it, like I recognized it, and I was telling everybody that was with us that I see. This is Illuminati shit. And at a certain moment, I kind of got like there was this music. One of their songs was going on, and everybody was. It was a very calm song, and everybody was kind of like getting in this very relaxed mood, and was just listening and enjoying. And I closed my eyes and just to enjoy it more. And when I was closing my eyes, I felt like I was really feeling connected, like everybody was kind of tuning in on this same sensation, this same frequency of calmness and enjoying that moment. I think that kind of worked as some kind of huge resonator, like this whole huge stage, the biggest concert of the Ukraine and of that year where we were, and the whole stage was in the same kind of mood and mental state. And I was just closing my eyes, and the full moon was exactly above the eye-shaped stage. And after a few moments, when I closed my eyes, I started seeing these colors, these colors that I would also recognize from my meditation. And at a certain moment, these colors, they started kind of like coming together and creating this kind of like snake pattern of a caduceus. So what it represents, this caduceus, and what I also experienced it representing, is that it's kind of the two snakes that are passing by each other, crossing each other, are representative for the feminine and the masculine, or the sun and the moon. It's like the yin and the yang, and the points that they intersect, you can also represent them. They can also be represented by the 7 chakra points in your body, and exactly the point where kind of the two heads of the serpents meet each other is where your third eye is. And when I also in my meditation saw that kind of the two beams of light which were creating this shape were meeting each other in the end, there it was this big bright light that was exploding, basically. This complete relaxation came over me, and it was spectacular. It was really amazing. And I opened my eyes, and everybody, at a certain moment, I opened my eyes and I saw everybody was still in the same mood, and the song kind of ended. I didn't realize back then what was really happening to me, but when I was researching it for this video, I was remembering exactly that thing that had happened. And when I was researching it, I started to understand actually what it meant. And it meant, it's basically the activation of your third eye chakra. And it's kind of like the start, it was for me the start of where my third eye opened. It's where my third eye started to manifest itself. And this ability to kind of look into future timelines which had events that could happen to me, that is like a psychic ability, which was the first ability that I gained through starting to manifest my third eye chakra. And I have been experiencing like these kind of forward-looking déjà-vus for the entire year right now, and mostly at like the really important, like quite some important moments in my life where I found my first job, which I really liked and which I'm really enjoying, where I kind of found the house that I'm currently living in, the apartment that I'm currently living in with my girlfriend, and that we got selected for in Rotterdam, while there's this huge demand for houses and nobody can really get an apartment within the city. At a certain point, I also kind of start playing with these potential timelines, in where, for example, I remember quite recently that I was getting a new lease car from the company, because I was driving a rental before, and I remembered as one of these déjà-vus that when I would brought it back, that I got a complaint from the rental company that that I didn't return it clean enough, and that they were really kind of like pissed at me that I didn't clean it. So I thought, okay, let's see if I can change this forward-looking memory. So I really did my best to clean the car as good as proper as like really clean it as good as possible, and it actually helped with the fact that I didn't hear anything from the rental company about my car in this future. So I think it's a nice example of how it kind of helps me to choose the most positive timeline for myself, the best possible future, the best possible reality that I want to live in, that I can live in. But let's get back to the whole thing where I was kind of explaining about the caduceus, and that moment helped me to, or that I realized during this, because of making this video, that was actually such a significant moment. I didn't realize it right at that spot, right there, because it really helped me to write about it and to make these kind of like documentation, do this kind of documentation and this kind of research about what actually happened to me, to really understand what happened to me. So that's like a really cool added benefit from doing these kind of videos. But what I did realize there, right there and at that moment, is I got this huge insight of how the Ukraine was kind of involved in the whole geopolitical scheme of things, in the tensions between the West and Russia. I completely realized myself how that big eye-shaped stage was this occult symbol during the biggest commercial concert in the Ukraine, celebrating their independence from Russia. I basically realized right there, I gained this realization of how the Ukraine was involved geopolitically in between Russia and the West. And right there and then, that was like a really nice gift and a really nice final evening of that holiday, where I got to experience everything about Ukraine and also really got to understand the situation, the geopolitical situation that the Ukraine is in at this moment. So it was actually these two things, like this insight that I gained into the political situation geopolitical situation of the Ukraine, and the awaken or the activation of my third eye chakra. I think it is such an amazing opportunity to make this video and to get the footage from this full moon in August, the Aquarius full moon this time, and this whole connection between it being a Pisces full moon a year ago and it being an Aquarius full moon this year, and that this year kind of had like the theme of the big unveiling of going from this age of deception and transitioning into this age of enlightenment and unity. And that's actually really the thing that I want to hit home, that basically all life on Earth is related to these kind of planetary cycles and the cycles of the sun and the moon, and that it's like such an amazing thing to kind of attune yourself to these cycles. I think that's also actually where we would just have to like leave it off with this video. It's been like kind of like an emotional roller coaster going through, like finding the right moment and checking out the right area for it and hoping that the weather was going to be good enough, and then being there at exactly the perfect spot where I was able to film it so in its full grandeur, and then having to deal with the disappointment of thinking that I didn't record it, and then now when I check it I actually did record it, and yeah, it's really cool. And in the next video I want to discuss another thing that kind of happened to me and that I got into after I got back from this holiday and had this kind of like this awing experience of these intense déjà vus that I was experiencing, that I really got into it and tried to learn more about the dream state and how you can work with your dreams and how you can kind of like work more with your subconscious and all of these things. And that created some really cool results which I really want to get into in my next video. So it was an amazing experience again doing this video, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making this whole thing, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Thank you very much.